Well, Chinese stocks are charging higher today on the 90-day tariff rollback announced by the U.S. and China. Hang Seng Index posting its best day since March. Some of the winners include consumer companies like Pinduoduo, Alibaba, JD.com, and Baidu. All those moves, are they overdone? Is there too much enthusiasm over this tariff pause? Well, joining us now is Marko, Papic, BCA Research Chief Strategist. Marko, it's good to have you back. So we went from much harsher than expected tariff levels on China to a much bigger pause level down to 30%. What do you think is the impact on pull forward of goods and demand, and therefore on Chinese stocks as well?
Well, probably no impact. I mean, if you're going to impose a 1,000% tariff and then take it down to 20% or 30%, the impact is going to be very limited. And so I think that when it comes to Chinese assets, this is really an extraordinary event that is quite positive. There's this right tail risk possibility where Chinese assets actually end up doing really well this year because President Trump has decided not just to focus on deal making right away, but actually deal making with China before Europe, before Japan, before South Korea, before a slew of other countries that folks thought he would focus on instead. So I do think this is unequivocally bullish for China. Where I think there could be some surprising, bearish outcomes is with other countries. For example, once the 90-day pause on the April 2nd tariffs expires, Europe could very well be the one left out of the negotiations. We haven't really heard anything about European negotiations with the U.S., and Trump may require at least one major economy to be the punching bag at the end of the whole process.
So what impact does this have on these deals that we see other countries cutting amongst each other, trying to provide some stability and predictability as U.S. policy swings this way and that?
Well, I think you're going to see other countries continue to pursue free trade deals. And I think the U.S. part of the reason why President Trump is looking to make his own deals quickly is that he has realized that the strategy of fighting a trade war with the entire planet is not that smart. And that's because the entire planet is not fighting a trade war with the entire planet. So it's really just the U.S. that's on the sidelines here, that's fighting a trade war with everyone else. And so there is a temporal aspect where the U.S. has to start making deals. And so I think that the most important issue for the U.S. and for investors is that President Trump has flagged very early in the whole process. I mean, we're really just a month away from quote unquote Liberation Day. He's flagged that this is a negotiation, that trade deals are coming. I think that the market, the S&P 500 U.S. stocks can actually leap over the chasm of negative hard data that may or may not come over the next couple of quarters if the reality of President Trump as a negotiator really sets in.
We saw Treasury yields move higher today. Marko, you've got a 10-year Treasury that's now flirting with 4.5%. Again, what's the bond market signaling?
Well, today, the bond market is not signaling anything negative. I think the bond market is simply doing what it always does when there's a positive risk off and positive risk on, of course, very much a risk on. And when you have probability of recession decline, yields go up. The problem is not that the yields went up today. The problem is that they're already too high. They were already at 4.3% when the day started. And so that's the issue. There is a term premium, but I'm not sure it's associated with tariffs on penguins or Liberation Day or China-U.S. negotiations. I think the term premium is there because of fiscal policy of the United States. So what investors should probably expect over the next, second half of this year is that fiscal policy, that reconciliation bill that nobody really knows what's in it, that's where the focus of the bond market is going to turn now that President Trump has basically signaled that he is negotiating trade deals with pretty much everyone.